and welcome. You're watching Ask PQ on Bloomberg Quint. I am Shraddha Babla.
Hi everyone, and I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza. Well, if you've got any questions on equity, this is the perfect show for you. Send them to us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and also on WhatsApp. In fact, you can also call us on 022-4540-4141 or mail us at askpq@bloombergquint.com. But make sure to add the AskPQ hashtag. Before we get to the individual queries on the show, let's tell you what's happening with the markets. It's been a great start to this expiry week. Remember, the August series expires this Thursday, and we've seen markets scaling fresh record highs. In fact, Nifty is now inching very closer to the mark of 11,700. So far, 600 was acting as a big resistance, but that's been comfortably taken out. Sensex also sitting with gains of 400 points. Remember, in the past few sessions, Bank Nifty was the one which was underperforming, but today, Bank Nifty is also participating a 1.5% higher. In fact, that's also inching very closer to its record high levels. It's just away 100 points right now from there. Both the PSU as well as the banking index, both of them have surged in trade today. So we've seen strong gains for the Nifty PSU banking index, up almost 2.5%, private up about 1.5%. Quickly pull up the Nifty contributors chart and let's see which are the stocks which are contributing to the strong gains, led by all the heavyweights, ICICI, Reliance, Infi as well as SBI. And on the losing side, no major losers, as you can see on the screen. Sun Pharma is trading in the negative territory, but that's not dragging the index lower by too much points. Market breadth today has been very positive, as the broader markets have also scaled higher. So you've got almost 2:1 in terms of market breadth right now. Just want to highlight on the options front today, we've seen aggressive writing coming in for the 11,600 put after that level has been taken out. And remember, so far the maximum open interest was on the 11,600 side. After that level has been crossed, the call writers have been running for cover. As you can see on the screen, 11,600 unwinding scene for the call strike, and aggressive writing. Almost 22 lakh shares have been added there, pardon me. Metal stocks are doing well, so the Nifty Metals Index is up and about. You've got most of the non-ferrous companies, actually, MOIL, NMDC, Hindalco, Nalco, all of them have seen very strong gains. MOIL is up almost 9%. NMDC, remember, the iron ore prices have been inching higher, and also Nalco, because of higher alumina prices globally, that stock seen gain of almost 4%. From the broader market, some of the gainers, Zydus Wellness, that's touched its fresh 52-week high. Also, MOIL I just mentioned, but Future Enterprises is the other one which has poked up in today's session. And on the losing side, LIC Housing reacting to earnings, Repco Home Finance and Nesco have seen some bit of weakness in trade. Shraddha.
All right, let's get in our two experts of the day. Right now, we are having Parthiv Shah of TRACOM Stock Brokers, who's available to answer all your queries. Welcome to the show, Parthiv. You have Sanjay Dongre, that's our first query for today. He has 3,000 shares of ICS Securities, which he's been allocated in the IPO. He wants to know if he should continue to hold it or he should switch to some of the names like Group Finance or ITC. He has a long-term view. So Parthiv, clearly he's currently making a loss on his holdings. Do you like ICICI Securities? And if not, would you recommend him to switch to either of the two names that were given by him, ITC or Group Finance?
See, frankly speaking, on ICS Securities, I think the IPO came at a point in time wherein even the valuations that were seeking were prohibitively expensive, post which I think we've seen some lumpiness in their business. Even the investment banking business, which is otherwise a very profitable business, there seems to be a lot of competition. And their brokerage business, also the equity brokerage business, most importantly, is facing stiff competition from lot many discount brokerages like Zerodha, etc. of the world. So I think that's a key challenge they're facing. No doubt, it's from a balance sheet standpoint, a fantastic company in terms of the strength that they have and the customer base that they have. But I think all things should come at the right sort of valuations. And still, even at current levels, I don't see the valuations being very attractive. So I think I would not mind advising exit from this counter. And I think something like an ITC certainly looks very good. Or for that matter, I think my pick currently to switch from this counter would be a Bharat Forge. I think Bharat Forge should also do extremely well going ahead with the classic trucks picking up. So I think these are the two suggestions that I would give as compared to ICS Securities.
Okay, that's the view on ICS Securities. Romil Rawat writes to us, and Romit, we promised you during the FNO show that we'll be taking your query on Ask PQ. He's bought TCS at 1820. Romil wants clarification that he should participate in buyback or not. Remember, TCS, that record date of buyback is gone, and buyback price is somewhere about 2,100 rupees. Romil, I don't know if you qualify under the category of retail investor, which is your investment should be to the tune of almost 2 lakh on the date of record date, but I'll still take your query to Parthiv. Parthiv, 1820 is his buy price, 2,100 is the buyback price. Would you advise him to tender his shares?
See, I think frankly speaking, TCS as a company, we are not suggesting investors to kind of, let go the shares in the buyback and then see the price go up higher than the buyback. The buyback should only be used if there is some sort of arbitrage, and if one is able to tender in the shares in the buyback and buy them low at a lower price from the market. So my advice would be that whenever you get that buyback offer letter, you'll certainly know how many number of shares they're going to take back at 2,100, which will be, I think, a fixed number of shares, and they can't, I think, change that amount. So I think at that point in time, see the price levels of TCS. If it is hovering, say, at around 2,000 rupees or lower than that, then you certainly get that 100, 150 rupees, whatever is the best possible arbitrage you can. But certainly don't let go your shares in the buyback and not have them again come back to your portfolio. We are expecting this company to do extremely well over the next 3 to 5 years. And I think the outlook and the guideline that the guidance that the management has given certainly bodes extremely well for the confidence of the shareholders for TCS.
All right, Facebook viewer Thiagarajan Shanmugam wants to know the prospects of Exide Industries and Saregama, and he wants to know if it is a good idea to buy these two at the current level. He is a long-term investor. Parthiv, as far as Exide is concerned, of course, we have seen the stock run up quite a bit in the last 1 or 2 months on the back of the lead prices, which have corrected significantly globally. But do you like Exide and even Saregama if you track that one?
See, first on Exide, absolutely right, Shraddha. As you rightly mentioned, with the lead prices cooling off, certainly I think it boded well. But unfortunately, even the currency has slightly depreciated. So on the raw material front, I'm not very gung-ho in terms of Exide being able to increase its current margin levels. At the best, they can pass on the hikes of the raw material cost and maintain at least their margins. Even that would be very good. But the going is very good for the likes of Exide and even Amara Batteries. It's more like a duopolistic sort of a market in the automobile battery space, and now Exide talking about new plans to venture into lithium-ion segment bodes extremely well for the longevity in terms of the visibility. Another element that Exide brings is also the Exide Life Insurance Company. If they're able to monetize that stake at a lucrative levels where life insurance is a buzzing sector, then I think that would be very, very rewarding for the existing shareholders of Exide. So yes, I think I have a positive view on Exide. Talking about Saregama, I think at the current levels and valuations, I think a lot of positives seems to be factored into. Wait out on a few quarterly results, how the numbers pan out, and only then give a call. So as on date, I think Saregama I would give an avoid.
Okay, avoid Saregama at current levels is the advice coming in, and the stock is also not doing too much, at least in today's trading session. I'm just going to take a query from Facebook once again. Rangarajan Balkrishnan is asking, from a 2-month horizon, is JK Lakshmi Cement placed good on the charts to enter at current levels? And I think now Abhijeet Phatak of Definedge Solution joins us on the show. Hi Abhijit, good afternoon. Thanks a lot for joining us. What's the view on the chart on JK Lakshmi Cement if somebody wants to take a trade for the next 2 months? Is this the right level, or one should wait it out?
Sorry, I didn't get the name of the stock.
JK Lakshmi Cement. Around 334. Okay, meanwhile, Abhijit tries to find that stock on the charts. I'll just quickly take a fundamental view on this one. From the cement pack, Parthiv, what's the view on JK Lakshmi Cement?
See, yes, I think JK Lakshmi Cement in terms of the valuations purely based on EV by ton, I think it's not at all expensive. They have capacity expansion, and I think we are very upbeat on the cement space, especially in terms of the volume front. And once I think the volume front there is an uptake and the capacity utilizations tend to go up, we see a lot of operating leverage kick in. And I think going ahead, we are even expecting with the demand scenario being good, I think certainly the prices will also slowly gradually go up, which has been a key hurdle for many of the cement players that the price per bag hasn't really gone up, and the raw material input costs and the fuel costs have certainly risen. So I think in that scenario, many of these stocks have kind of underperformed recently. But I think JK Lakshmi Cement should tend to do well, and going ahead with all the advantages that I talked of, I think one should get that advantage. But 2 months, I think it's a slightly shorter view in my opinion. If we can extend it to 6 to 12 months, I think it'll be better off.
Okay, Abhijit, any view on the charts for JK Lakshmi Cement if somebody wants to take a trade for next 2 months?
Yeah, it has formed a kind of a base near 310, 315, and only thing is there is a big resistance near 350. If it closes above 350, that will be a very bullish sign for the stock.
Okay, the next query comes from Akash, who goes by the handle Xiaomi MI5. He has 2,000 shares of RBI Bank, which he is holding from the levels of about 566. I believe he's bought it in the last 1 or 2 months. He wants to know what he should do with his investment. He has the capability to hold it for the longer time frame also. So Parthiv, the stock is trading at an all-time high, 628 or so. Of course, it has run up significantly, and you can't ignore the expensive valuations. What should he do? What would you advise for RBI Bank?
So, yes, certainly. I think RBI Bank was one of our favorite picks in the banking, private sector banking, and ever since it was at 450, 500, 550 levels, we've been advocating a buy. And now out here at 625, I think there's a lot of buying interest happening, and we've seen the stock gotten massively re-rated. And now the valuations certainly are slightly on the expensive side, and the risk reward doesn't seem to be very favorable from here, unless and until one is willing to wait for at least 3 to 5 years. It's a quality franchisee, no two ways about it. But yes, I would expect whenever the markets were to cool off, and if he's going to get an entry point somewhere around 580, 585, I think that would be a better entry point. Don't buy in this frenzy right now. Hold on the sidelines, and I think wait for a better opportune time to enter.
Okay, RBI Bank going from strength to strength in the last 1 month. The counter is up nearly 10% in trade. Let's take another query once again from the banking pack. Pull up Kotak Mahindra Bank. Ram Hegde on Facebook, he wants a target price for Kotak Mahindra Bank for the September series, and he's also suggesting it looks like that it has started its up move in today's trading session, where the stock's up nearly 2% in trade. Abhijit, do you concur with our viewer that the upside has started looking at today's price action, and what would your target be for Kotak Mahindra Bank by the end of September series?
Kotak Mahindra is not a very bullish chart, to be honest, but it can give a pullback in the month of September. And as long as the pullback doesn't cross 1330, it still remains a pullback, and it will be strong only above 1340, 1350 futures. So one can play the pullback, but watch out near 1320, 1330.
Okay, the next query comes from Melvin. He has 20 shares of Glennmark Pharma at 610. He's been holding it since 11 months, and he wants to know if he should continue to hold or sell it. Of course, we've seen a sizable appreciation in excess of 10% over the last 2 weeks or so. So, Abhijit, my question is to you. How does Glennmark Pharma look on the charts? Is it a time to book profits?
No, certainly it is not a time to book profits, but one can trail, and if it is a multiple lots or even if it is cash, one can book partially. But Glennmark Pharma is looking quite bullish on the charts, and he can use a stop loss of maybe 650 or I didn't get his buying price. A very conservative stop loss will be about 620, and a tight stop loss will be 650.
His buying price is 610.
Yeah, then he can book partially and use 620 as a stop loss for the balance quantity.
Okay, Glennmark has turned positive in trade. It's at 6633 right now. Raj Shah writes to us, let's just pull up the chart of Nesco. Remember that stock's been in news after BMC has denied permission for exhibition to Bombay Exhibition Centre because till the time the metro project doesn't get completed, to avoid any sort of congestion which is there in terms of traffic. So let me just take this query to Parthiv. Parthiv, there's a viewer, Raj, who's bought 2,500 shares today at a price of 440, and he has a time horizon of nearly 5 years, so that's a good time horizon. He wants to know if he should be adding more at current levels. What would you advise him to do?
See, Navneet, my sense is that yes, certainly it's a dent to this company, especially till the metro project is done, because I think the parking menace would certainly impact the current traffic, which I think certainly is not something that BMC authorities are going to tolerate. As such, I think there are a lot of issues around near that area. So I think it is certainly going to impact the bookings for this exhibition hall for Nesco. As a result, with the street is slightly kind of negative in terms of the earnings going ahead. So probably the stock has massively derated today, and I think there is a possibility that it can further correct from here. But again, I think for good, great, well-managed companies, such adversities at times, which are not very long-lasting, we know for the fact, and especially the viewer has 5 years of view, becomes a very good opportunity. So he's already purchased 2,500 shares. My sense is that don't just rush up to add up your new quantities. Wait for a few days and add up your quantities in a staggering manner, so that you can best cost average and get the best price discovery. But certainly not extremely negative on this counter, but yeah, temporary weakness should be used as an advantage to kind of add up into it.
All right, 6% taken off Nesco, but we have a live caller. Imran is calling us. Good afternoon, Imran. What is your query and where are you calling from?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. I'm calling from Bangalore. And my query is that just now entered the stock market, as in just now started investing. So I want to know whether investing in Titan share is worth or not, and what would be the correct time to buy Titan shares?
Okay, Imran, what is your time frame?
It would be 2 to 3 years. Time horizon would be 2 to 3 years.
Okay, so Parthiv, I'm going to go to you for this one. Titan for 2 or 3 year holding period. How does it look?
Certainly, he's coming into the markets very new, and I think he's picked up a very good quality stock, Titan. And keeping a time horizon for 3 years is a very fair assessment. And I think Titan, certainly, I think over the next 3 years, will take a lot of advantage in terms of the consumption boom that we are seeing, especially in the organized jewelry segment, the eyewear segment, and even the watches, where I think they've done fantastically well over the many period of years. No doubt the valuations are certainly expensive, but then we see such consumer-facing stocks, I think, not being very cheap, and as long as they are showing the growth trajectory, no doubt recently the stock did correct based on the news that the guidance of initial 25% might not be met, and they would still grow at 20%. Still 20% is a fantastic growth rate. So I think going ahead with more consumer move, we might see better numbers also. So certainly I think you can buy into this stock and wait out for 3 years. You will certainly get very decent returns.
Well, Titan as a company has been benefiting from efforts like demonetization, which brought in more market share from the unorganized to organized market. And now also after the Nirav Modi scam, we've seen some shift from the organized market also moving to something like Titan, which is an established brand. Okay, let's move on and take Bharat Electronics query. If you could just pull up the chart in the meantime. On Facebook, Mari Muthu Murugan writes to us and he wants advice on BEL. His average buying price is somewhere about 125 and his quantity is 400 shares. He wants to know if he should exit, average or hold at current levels. So he is into some bit of losses. If I could come to you, Abhijit, on the charts, how is it looking, Bharat Electronics, since we've seen some bit of recovery coming back into this counter? It was a beaten down counter. If somebody is holding 400 shares at 125, what would your advice be?
Yes, BEL looks to have bottomed out near 100 and it gave a fast rally to about 120, 125. And I think presently it is consolidating and it might continue its up move further. But one should hold it with a stop loss below 110. And if it crosses 126, 127, it can go all the way to 130 and above.
Okay, Abhijit, the next query is also for you. Harshvardhan wants 2-3 month trading strategies that he's looking for. So if you could give us 2 of your top strategies.
One stock which is looking extremely bullish to me is Maruti. I cannot pinpoint the exact buying level, but somewhere between here and maybe 91.50, 92.50, this range. I'm expecting Maruti to go towards at least maybe a 500 rupees move in the next couple of months, maybe even to 10,000.
Okay, it's a buy on Maruti Suzuki, and that's a trading strategy being recommended by Abhijit on the show. Let's move on and take our next query, which is come from Rajasankar, who's written us an email. He wants to invest 2 lakh rupees for long-term basis, and he's asking whether he should invest the sum of 2 lakh into stocks like Dabur or Imami. Parthiv, Dabur already giving good returns, valuations on the higher side, and let me say for the entire FMCG pack, valuations have been on the higher side. So he's chosen 2 stocks, Dabur and Imami. What would you advise him how to allocate the 2 lakh rupees?
I think no doubt its 2 stocks are extremely good, but case in point, talking about Dabur, as you very rightly mentioned, it was an expensive stock, and recently it has got more re-rated and even become more expensive than its historical past. But I think there is something that the market is aware of in terms of the upcoming growth in these counters, especially based on the consumption boom that we are talking of, especially even from the rural markets. And I think when a company like Dabur, even besides the base impact that it has seen in terms of the double-digit volume growth, does talk about this double-digit volume growth trajectory being carried forwarded going ahead, and also with the margins that they have maintained. I think certainly the market is getting extremely excited, and they've done fantastically well in many of their product categories. They've faced the stiff competition from Patanjali extremely well, rather gained some market share in many of the new categories that they've launched. So I think Dabur is a fantastic stock to own. Same is the case with Imami. I think again a very good group in terms of even their FMCG business, and I think they will also do extremely well, though it's not as expensive as Dabur in terms of the valuations. But again, I think these are very 2 good picks, and if you have 3 to 5 years view, even from your mind senses, one will get decent returns.
Okay, Ratina writes to us on mail. She is holding 100 shares of SpiceJet at 132 per share. She wants to know if she could hold on or buy some more at the current levels to average. She has a time horizon of 1 year. Currently, shares of course trading at just about 82 rupees or so. Abhijit, how is it looking on the charts? Is it a good time to average these shares, or do you see some downside in the stock?
I didn't get the name of the stock.
SpiceJet.
SpiceJet.
Let's go to Parthiv in the meantime. Parthiv, overall, what's your view on aviation, and how is SpiceJet specifically looking?
See, I think aviation sector is having its set of troubles, and that's the key reason why we have seen names like Interglobe Aviation, SpiceJet. I'm not even talking about Jet Airways because that's a total avoid. These stocks have cooled off a lot, and I think despite the fact that the passenger growth is relatively strong, the oil prices also did recede of late. Unfortunately, the currency is also depreciated to levels of 70. So I think there are a lot of cost pressures. These guys are not able to get the pricing power that they need despite such growth, and one of the competitors, Jet Airways, not doing well. So I think that's why the valuations are derated. But I think frankly speaking, these are the best opportune times to add these counters when they have corrected massively, when they're pricing in most of the negatives, and going ahead we are expecting better triggers from them. So I think SpiceJet, I would not give a very negative opinion out here at current levels valuations. Certainly add, but my advice is don't add at one go in a lump sum manner. Just have a staggering manner approach for such companies where I think right now they are not having any sort of major triggers. So there could be more time correction. So staggering manner approach buying should be the best strategy in these aviation counters.
Okay, Abhijit, are the charts also suggesting the same? Is it a good time to add to the existing holdings?
Yeah, for a long term, one can start adding on the lower layers, and for a short term, the recent low, I mean, 2 days back, the pattern which it formed might be a short term reversal. So if someone is looking for a short term, he or she can use it, hold it with a stop loss below 75. But the real strength will come in the stock only above 120, which is quite a far way away.
Okay, that's a hold on SpiceJet. Parthiv, I'm going to come to you for the next query. Sellin Darwin writes to us on Facebook. He has IndusInd Bank 265 shares at 1454, and the current price is somewhere about 1960. He's also suggesting he's been adding 8 shares almost every month, and he's also holding HDFC Bank. The quantity there is 108 at 1960, so comfortably in the money for both the investment. And he's asking his time horizon, is almost 10 years, and he also wants to know, Parthiv, is SIP the best route to go ahead with both these stocks? Should he be adding more of these in the next 10 years, or should just hold on?
Absolutely. Coincidentally, Namit, I think in this show itself, a couple of times I've talked about a staggering manner approach, or you might call it as an equity SIP. And I think the two stocks that he has chosen and having a 10-year view, I think they're one of the best run backs in the country. And that's why I think he's been recently and also since his investment very nicely rewarded. So I think I would still suggest, yes, go ahead with your current strategy of investing. I think it's a very good and a sound strategy. One, you need not need upfront large capital, and secondly, I think every month with your existing cash flows, you can deploy into buying these quality names. And I think I would suggest a diversification strategy as well. Besides focusing only on banking sector, also focus on things like consumption sector. You can have stocks like Nestle, Procter & Gamble also added to your kitty. Also focus on some other sectors, say sectors like pharmaceutical sector. I think have at least 2 to 3 sectors in which you do equity SIP, pick the best stocks, and I think I'm very confident you'll get very good rewarding returns in your portfolio.
All right, Puneet calls us on the show with a query. Hi, Puneet. Where are you calling from and what's your query?
Yeah, I'm calling from New Delhi. So I want advice on 2 stocks. One is Magma FinCorp, another one is L&T Finance Holdings. So which is the better pick for next one year view?
All right, Parthiv, Magma FinCorp, is that an NBFC that you like, or do you think its peers are better placed? Puneet has a 1-year horizon.
See, any day, I think out of the 2 companies, in terms of the management pedigree, in terms of the past track record, in terms of the visibility going ahead, in terms of better ROIs that they're going to earn, L&T Finance Holding is the stock to hold. Certainly, in my sense is that I think L&T Finance Holding has done all the right things, and a lot of benefits shall percolate going ahead in FY19 and 20. So I think out of the 2, it seems no-brainer that L&T Finance is a far better quality stock to own in the portfolio.
All right, so you wouldn't recommend continuing to hold Magma FinCorp?
Yeah, I think he's asked, I think, any one stock out of the 2 NBFCs. So I think out of the 2, I still prefer L&T Finance.
Okay, L&T Finance is a better pick according to Parthiv. Thanks a lot, Puneet, for calling us. Let's move on and take our next query. Krish writes to us. Abhijit, if in the meantime, if you could pull up the chart of Kokuyo Camlin, because the next query is on that. Krish has bought Kokuyo Camlin at 127 vis-a-vis the current price, which is somewhere about 141, and he has a 3-month time horizon. He wants to know what to do with this one. Abhijit, what would you suggest? Bought at 127, that's Kokuyo Camlin. Should he be booking profits right now or wait it out? His time horizon is 3 months.
There is a big resistance in the stock near 150, 155. So I would advise booking at least half of it and holding the rest with a stop loss maybe below 130. But once that resistance near 150, 155, 160 is crossed, then that will be a major bull trigger for the stock.
All right, Sanket, Gade wants to know what he should do with 100 shares of Tata Motors that he has bought at 269.73. He has a 5 to 7 year view. He wants to know if averaging it makes sense at this point in time. Part of the stock, of course, has remained under pressure, largely owing to JLR, but and most of the analysts seem to have a buy rating, given that it has corrected quite a bit. What's your take on Tata Motors, and should he average at this point in time?
Yes, I think unfortunately this stock, I think time and again we discuss at 300, 350 also, it seemed that, this is pricing in a lot of its negatives, after which again we saw massive derating. Then there were fears about, I think, more tariffs, steep tariffs for the EU car makers on the US markets, which again dented the sentiment. So I think unfortunately this company has been constantly facing many negative news, especially at a point in time where the volume growth has not come up. And now it seems that the stock is trying to get its legs on somewhere around 240, 260 levels. So I think what I feel is that, one will have to wait it out. I think there's no easy way out in this company. And I think, yes, they certainly have good pipeline. They've done a lot of capex, and the transition that they have from the diesel vehicles into the new age hybrid vehicles, especially in the European markets, might take some time. But whenever that is done and dusted, I think we'll see better volume numbers from Tata Motors, especially the JLR stable. Not really worried about the domestic business, but I think the re-rating of the stock will only happen when the JLR fires on all cylinders. So I think such a credible management, one should give around 2 to 3 years of time frame. So I think doing that, I think from here one should hold on to the stock.
All right, hold on is the advice coming in from Parthiv. Guys, those were all the queries that we could take today. And on that note, we'll thank our guests. Thank you very much, Abhijit and Parthiv, for helping our viewers with all their queries. That's all that we have on this edition of Ask PQ.
Well, but remember, we're just a tweet, post or a call away, so keep your queries coming, and we promise to address most of them through our shows. In fact, you can also log on to bloombergquint.com, search for #AskPQ and get answers to all the queries that were discussed on the show today. Don't go anywhere. Up next is Power Lunch. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint.